Include now. Brought to you by Even Break.
Hello, and welcome to Community Corner, the place where we ask our guests things that the community want to know. Joining me fresh from talking to Adam on inclusive recruitment are Rozana and Jane. Because thank you very much for joining us, because I really enjoyed listening to you talk to Adam, like, because I really like that you two are very aware that just because there's quite a lot happening now to support inclusive recruitment, there's also quite a long way to go to.
Sure.
But I have to say that Frozen 2 was a very, very rogue choice. But yes. So the very first question goes to Jane, and our community would like to know, how do you make sure that your organisation supports disabled people after they are recruited?
I think that's a brilliant question, because being recruited is only the beginning. And you could have the most inclusive recruitment process in the world, but if your culture isn't right within the organisation, somebody starts and then they're going to leave very quickly, and they'll tell people, so it's counterproductive. For me, it's about the culture of the organisation, and that comes down to things like managers, how managers treat people. It's around workplace adjustments, making sure they're ready from day one, because often there can be a delay, and somebody starts on day one and they don't have the equipment they need or the support they need, and they can't do their job, and that's not fair on them or the organisation. So timely and appropriate workplace adjustments, managers knowing what they're doing. And I think it's also very much, for me, around flexibility. So there isn't just one way to work. There are lots of different ways of working, and some people like to work in big solid blocks. Other people like to take breaks for whatever reason. Some people like written communication, some people like spoken communication, and none of those are right or wrong, but it's about the manager, the organisation, understanding that people work in different ways and actually enabling an environment where people can work in ways that suit them. And that's what we really try to do at Even Break. But again, we're still learning, and hopefully we'll continue to get it right and get it better.
Yes, of course. Like, is there anything you'd like to add, Adam or
No, I 100% agree with Jane. I just agree with you a lot, don't I? Which is good, I guess. We wouldn't want to fight on our hands, would we? I think, for me, that sits actually with an employer brand. There is no point in us going out and doing all this work to attract diverse talent if the experience internally is not what we're saying externally. And so we do need to do our best to help improve the culture and to improve that recruitment process. We are, by far means, we are not perfect. And we, would hate people to listen to this and say, oh great, I'm going to join the BBC and it's going to be the smoothest process in the world, because that may not be the case. But we are doing our best, we're working on it. And there are so many initiatives and so many people that are invested in making these improvements and making it better.
Like, in the moving on, the community would like to know, are there certain parts of job adverts that they should look out for that tell them that a company is an inclusive company.
Yes, so when you actually apply for a role at the BBC, there is a question that gives you a chance to opt in for the Disability Confidence Scheme. And if you opt in, that means that if you meet the essential criteria of that role, you'll be offered an interview for it.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure that you look out for that stuff and make sure you check those boxes to kind of, giving yourself just the best chance possible.
Cool. Like, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think as we said in the podcast as well, it's about the employer making it really clear that they want diverse talent and why they want them. But also, I think one of the things that disabled candidates particularly look out for is how do I, often it will say you can have adjustments if you need them, but it might be written in a way that says, are you disabled? Yes, no.
Yeah.
If so, what do you need? And it sounds a bit kind of, I'm not sure I want to answer that question. So we recommend saying something like, we want all of our candidates to shine in our recruitment process. Please tell us what you need us to do for you to show us your best self, or something along those lines, which isn't, are you disabled? Yes, no, because you might not want to tell the employer at that point, but is actually saying, we want to give you whatever you need so that we can see what you're best. So it's not just about legislation compliance. So anything that's kind of warm and welcoming, that makes you think, this is a great place, I'd like to. And even if you're not disabled and you see something like that, you're going to think, wow, this is a good employer, I'd like to work there.
Yes, so then would you say that the crucial part, is the type of language then?
Yeah, definitely, because I think, there's been a lot of research done on men and women, isn't there, and the language, the kind of terminology that can put women off applying, for example. And I think it's the same for, whether it's age discrimination or race discrimination or disability, the kind of language that's used is really important, and particularly for some candidates. So, we might say, often I'll see job descriptions or job adverts that say, must be a team player, must have great interpersonal skills for every job. And you think that person's going to be a coder working in a cubicle on their own. Why do they need to be great team players or great interpersonal skills? And that could put somebody off who'd be brilliant at that job. Well, why put those things in there in the first place? So it's about being accurate, really, about what you need.
It's often because we've always done it that way. I think we get stuck in a rut. We've always asked for 5 years experience, so we still asking for it if we don't need it. And I think we just need to get unstuck with some requirements.
Definitely, yeah.
Cool. Then the last one is, what one thing makes your company a great workplace for disabled people to thrive in?
So for me at BBC, as I've kind of said on this kind of podcast already, is it's not perfect, but it really has this ambition and this desire to improve and to get better. And there are so many people internally that are driving that forward. We have an incredible disability lead who is doing a lot of work within the business, but we also have incredible ERGs, or staff networks as we call them. So we have BBC Ability that are for our deaf and disabled staff. We also have BBC Enigma, which is for our neurodivergent staff. We have Embrace, which is for our Black, Asian and minority ethnic talent, and Raised, which is for our staff from a low socioeconomic background. And they are there to really create support and peer-to-peer support and conversation and a safe space for people that identify from those backgrounds and those experiences, but also to help teams within the business. You know, here's this feedback that we've heard, or how, you know, it's for us to have conversations with those teams to make sure that we are doing the right thing. So I think, you know, like I said, there's no perfect culture and perfect scenario of a workplace, and if anyone has discovered it, please let us know. But there is all the intention and all that will to want to keep creating an inclusive culture and environment. And I think we keep working at it.
Yes.
Again, it's something that's really, really important to us at Even Break. And I think there are so many things, but I think probably the main one is offering flexibility. So we don't say, you know, with a job role exactly how many hours it is. You know, we have one member of our team that works 2 hours a week in 6 lots of 20 minutes, and he's very happy doing that. And he's been doing that successfully for about 12 years now. There are other people who will say, well, I'd like to work 21 hours, but I'd like to do them 7 hours on a Monday, 7 hours on a Tuesday, 7 hours on a Wednesday. And there might be somebody else who says, I'd also like to do 21 hours, but actually I'd like to spread them out unevenly between Monday and Friday. So it's very much around people telling us what is the best way they can work, and we will accommodate that. So we have some, you know, I tend to work better at evenings and weekends because there aren't so many interruptions. I'm not a morning person, so, you know, if you want to get any creativity out of me at all, don't ask me at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's got nothing to do with disability, that's just to do with me. But I think it is about recognising that each individual wants to give of their best, and then our job as an employer is to make sure that they have an environment where they can perform at their best and enjoy what they do. So that might even mean job carving. So if somebody is sort of saying, well, I'm in this role now, but what I'd really like to do is that, you know, taking some of that role off and maybe being a bit flexible. And I think pretty much all of the team have had some kind of experience of doing different things in different teams, just to try different things out, do some of their own, you know. And then if they actually say, we had an account manager who was a brilliant account manager, and she said to me, I don't think I'm very good at this. And I said, you are really good at this. That's not what you mean, is it? What you mean is you don't enjoy it. And she said, yeah, maybe. And then she moved over to the marketing team because what she really wanted to do was creative stuff. And for me, the success of an organisation depends on every individual doing the things that they're the best at in the best way that works for them. So we haven't got it right yet, but we're trying to be, I think we're more flexible than most.
I was going to say, you know, I said there was no perfect workplace. Jane,
I like to say.
Break's doing okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
I mean, everyone's seconding what she's saying.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
But put your leave request in now.
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
in a good mood.
Thank you for taking the time to answer. That's the end of the things that the community wanted to ask, but this is the opportunity for you to ask Adam and I something too.
We tried to think of something really evil.
Yeah,
didn't we?
something really personal. Get your darkest secrets out.
Yeah, but then we thought, no.
That professional gaze came over again. Yeah. So we would like to ask you both, because you've done so many incredible podcasts and interviews. Although I think you said this was your favourite one. I think.
Of course,
did you hear
yes,
that, Jane?
I heard that. Yeah.
We would love to know what is the kind of the one outcome that you would love to get from doing this podcast.
Okay. Because I think that for myself, it's just kind of creating conversation so that the people that either come on or they listening to it, they realise that it's not such an awkward topic to talk on, but on top of that too, that just say that at the beginning of trying to become more inclusive, that there are quite a lot of resources plus people out there that that they can also talk to as well.
That's great. And Adam?
I think for me, it's two things we get into things. One is creating a safe space for people to challenge their own preconceptions of disability and inclusive workspaces, but also share best practice, because there's loads of practice happening out there in different organisations. I think if we share our best practice, we can then start to support more companies in being able to attract and retain the millions of disabled, talented individuals that are wanting to be in the workplace.
Certainly. Yeah. Like a. Thank you very much for coming on. But I think that's all that we've got time for. So like, I just wanted to say thank you for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, please share it amongst your community, and as ever, if you would like to find out more, please check out the Best Practice portal.